Kia ora and welcome to this short tutorial on how to work with colour in your Adobe Illustrator file. So this is the basic artwork that I generated in the last video, and it's all come with the default colours. So if I use the selection tool, keyboard shortcut is V, and if I click on any of the objects, you can see over here that they have a white fill and a black stroke. So that's the default that's set up in my program at the moment. That's pretty much how Illustrator comes out of the box. To change the colours on any object, you need to select it first so it has these little handles around it. The colour of the handles that you get may be different. It might be like lime green or magenta, and that is just depending on which layer it's on. If I want to change the colour of the fill, I come over here and I double click on the fill. This brings up the colour picker. I always suggest that you work in the rainbow first and then in the tonal selector over here. So if I say I want a lovely teal colour for this ellipse, I'm going to be moving, so you can either click or you can click and drag in here and move the rainbow slider until it's roughly got the colour that you like. And then you can decide if you'd like a pastel tone or if you'd like a deep shade. I'm going to pick something in about here. And once you're happy with that, click on OK. I just clicked once to deselect that ellipse. If you'd like to pick the same colour into another one of your pieces of artwork, then select it with the selection tool, and you can use the eyedropper. Keyboard shortcut is I. Click once on the one that you want to grab the colour from, and it will slurp it up and bring it into the one that you have selected. Again, just click off it to deselect that. If you'd like to change the stroke colour, then you need to bring the stroke to the front, so you can click once on it and it will come to the front here. I'm going to double click on that one to open it up. And I'd like a really bright, vibrant orange. So I'm going to work down here and go right up here. So it's lovely saturated orange. It shows me a preview of what I'm going to get. It shows me the hex color code. You can copy and paste this out. It shows me CMYK percentage values. There's RGB values there, and hue, saturation and brightness values as well. If you'd like to work with a gradient in a piece of your artwork, you can do that as well. So I'm going to select this one over here. I actually want to turn the stroke off for this. I don't want a stroke, so I can pick the none little box down there, and that will remove the stroke completely. I'm going to bring the fill to the front, and then I'm going to come over here to the gradient palette. So if we open the gradient palette, and I'm just going to click on the linear gradient for now. There are three types here. Just work with the simple one. And you can see it loads a simple black to white gradient into that shape. To change the colours, come down here to the gradient slider, click on them. If you want to get some pre-selected colours in there for very quick gradients, you can just double click and it gives you a few options here. One of which is the eyedropper, so I can actually select a colour that I've actually already got on my artboard. Over here I'm going to select the other slider, double click on it, and this time I'm going to put in like a pale yellow colour on that side. So this is using the swatches. You can work with the gradient tool here from the tools palette. So if you hover over it, you can get an indication of what will happen. So I can actually turn it around, I can reposition it, and you can stretch them out as well, change the centre point. Once again, click off it to deselect it. If you really like that gradient and you want to use it elsewhere, like on this circle, select the circle with your black arrow tool, grab the eyedropper tool and slurp up the colour that you want. You can then hold down the Option key or Alt key and drop it into other locations. Another way to access colour is through the Swatches Palette and the Colour Palette, or panel. The Swatches panel may have different presets in there depending upon what you've got loaded in, but you can use that to just quickly assign colours to an object. If you want something a bit fancier, you can come into the colour panel and it shows you the colour, and I'm working in a CMYK document, so I can actually adjust the ratios of how the ink will be used. Very handy if you've got something and you're like, oh, it's not looking quite right, or it's actually got a little bit of black in there. You can actually take that out and make that a pure peachy coral tone. If you'd like to get an object back to default colouring, you can do that as well. Just select the object, come over here, and there's a little default button. The other thing you can do is the little switch button, so you can swap around the fill and the stroke. If I bring the stroke to the front, double click, apply colour to it, I'm going to open the stroke palette and make it thicker, just so we can see the swap working like that. So that's the basics on how to access and use colour in Adobe Illustrator. Thanks for watching.